Disclaimer: none of the songs, including the one in the intro character, or artworks, including the one in the thumbnail in the video, are mine. This is not an inaccurate portrayal of the characters. This is not a defamation of character either. Warning: foul language. Onto the video.
Osamu is skeptical. Is Sakusa's feelings for his brother real? He wants to believe it isn't because really, you don't treat the people you love like shit. But this past few weeks, he's starting to doubt his own opinions. Sakusa's actions practically scream his love for Atsumu, and Osamu has to wonder, why did Sakusa treat Atsumu like that if he loves him? And he does. Even Osamu's biased mind can see how genuine Sakusa is with his actions. He saw it in how Sakusa tolerated Osamu's bullying during the last weeks of vacation. He saw it how even after Sakusa went back to Tokyo, he made an effort to update Atsumu every day. They even spend hours every night just talking on the phone. How someone can think of so many topics that they spend literal hours talking with each other, Osamu doesn't know. But Atsumu and Sakusa somehow manage. He saw it in how Atsumu's daily roses still arrive every day even when Sakusa's already in Tokyo. Sakusa apparently talked to the local flower shop to always stock in roses and always deliver Atsumu his 3 roses every day. It reached to the point that the workers at the flower shop started shipping those two, and gossip started spreading in Hyogo how romantic Sakusa is. It didn't help matters that Fudge from Oishi's cafe has pictures, and well, Sakuatsu now has a Hyogo fan club. What really bothered Osamu though, is that those roses always has a note with cheesy messages attached, and they are always written in Sakusa's penmanship. And just how he's in Tokyo. He saw it in how Sakusa visits Hyogo every weekend to go on a date with Atsumu. It's been a month since classes started and Sakusa went back to Tokyo, and yet, he never once faltered in his actions. He never showed signs that he's slowing down, that it was a temporary thing. In fact, it seems like he's got a new surprise for Atsumu every damn week. But it doesn't really change anything in Osamu's opinion. It's not enough. Sakusa's only doing the things he should have done before. Ever since Sakusa got back in Tokyo, it was basically a routine that they would video chat with each other from night to morning. They would talk at night until they eventually fall asleep, leaving their laptops plugged so they can sleep with each other's face as their last sight and wake up with each other as their first view. That routine started when Atsumu said goodbye to go to sleep, and Sakusa, in the meekest voice that Atsumu had ever heard from him, asked if Atsumu could possibly not end their call, then proceeded to ramble on that. I want to sleep looking at your face, and I know that it's creepy, but you just put me at ease, and you're just so beautiful, and I want to sleep knowing it's you that I last saw, and don't worry, I won't be watching you, I just, you know what, never mind. That was a stupid request, good night Atsu. Then ended the call immediately. Not even 5 minutes later, Atsumu called again, and Sakusa was left with no choice but to pick up since he did not want to offend Atsumu. A blushing Sakusa opened the call to a soft smiling Atsumu already ready to go to sleep. Before he could ask why he called again, Atsumu said goodnight, then promptly fell asleep. Author's note: Sana all. Sakusa softened. He put his laptop beside him as he lay on bed, ready to go to sleep. He paid the time little notice as he stared and admired Atsumu's beautiful sleeping face with what others, if they could see him, would call a lovesick fool smile. Even after Atsumu turned his back on the camera, Sakusa still stared at him until he himself fell asleep. After that, it's been an unspoken agreement not to end the call when one sleeps. Which is why when Atsumu got sick one day, it was Sakusa who first knew. Sakusa opened his eyes, confused as to why he was awake. He looked at the clock on his nightstand and saw that it was 3:47 a.m. His eyebrows scrunched. Even more confused, he examined himself, trying to determine if his body needed something that caused him to wake up. That was when he heard a cough behind him. He watched as Atsumu's body's racked with every painful cough. Achoo? Atsumu didn't respond. He's still asleep then. The laptop's light, not to mention the nightlight, illuminated Atsumu's face, and Sakusa saw how pale yet flushed his face was. He also saw the sheen of sweat on Atsumu's forehead and how despite that, Atsumu was still firmly wrapped in his blanket. Atsumu. He tried again but to no avail. Achoo baby. Please wake up. He said louder. Atsumu. He exclaimed. On the screen, Atsumu slowly blinked awake. Omi, wa. Atsumu's question was interrupted by a cough. Ugh. Achoo. Baby, how do you feel? Bad. Atsumu said as his eyes threatened to fall asleep again. Baby, is Osamu there? Atsumu mumbled incoherently in reply. What? I'm sorry baby, can you repeat that? I didn't understand. Not here. Suna house. Atsumu slurred. Okay. Fuck. Omi. Atsumu spoke weakly. Yes baby, feel bad. Sakusa softened. I know baby. Just sleep it off okay. But Atsumu was already asleep. Shit fuck okay. What do I do? The twins' parents were working in abroad, so there's no one in there that could take care of Atsumu. He also doesn't have Osamu or Suna's number. He could try the group chat, but he's not sure if Osamu will even read it or when. It's still really early and he could wait until morning because surely Osamu would go home, but he really does not want to leave Atsumu alone while he was sick. Shit. Okay. Sakusa ran a hand through his hair and called Komori. Sakusa opened the door to the twins' house using the key under the flower pot. The train doesn't operate at this hours and neither do the planes, but thankfully, his auntie owns an airport, so he was able to arrange a private plane ride to Osaka since that was the nearest place to Hyogo that had a runway. For all that Komori kept on insisting Sakusa's rich and that he wants to steal his money, he often neglects to remember that he's rich too, just because his parents are more strict with how Komori spends his allowance. Which makes a lot of sense, since if Komori's parents just gave him the money he wants, he'd probably just vanish on the face of the earth and return when he no longer has money. Author's note. Sorry, but Atachiyama, Shiratorizawa, Komomade, Oikawa, Lev, and to a lesser extent, Bakuto, Kenma and Kuru, as well as Nishinoya just gives me rich vibes. After that, he took a cab to Hyogo. Overall, it took him 2 hours to 30 minutes to reach Atsumu's house. He would have taken longer, but thankfully, there's only a few people traveling at this time. So by the time he reached Atsumu's house, it was already 6:30 a.m. He went to Atsumu's room and noticed how ragged Atsumu's breathing was, not to mention the coughs and the occasional whimpers that interrupted it. He climbed on the bed, not even thinking that he might get sick. Achoo baby, Sakusa said softly as he put his hands on Atsumu's forehead, then flinched back when he felt the heat. Fuck. He rummaged through Atsumu's nightstand drawer for a thermometer, completely ignoring the lube and condoms scattered about. When he found one, he sanitized it first before wiping it dry and putting it inside Atsumu's mouth. He caressed Atsumu's back as he waited for the thermometer to beep. 39.2 degrees Celsius. Shit okay. He pulled Atsumu's blanket and Atsumu woke up with a shiver and a whimper. Hey baby. Just be patient okay? I'm sorry. Omi? Atsumu asked weakly. Yes baby, I'm here. I'm cold. Atsumu whimpered, curling in on himself. I know baby. I know. But you need to let your body cool down okay? The blanket will just contain the heat inside. But I'm cold. I know baby. Just be patient okay? Wait for me. Sakusa stood up from the bed but stopped when Atsumu weakly held his sleeves. Omi, stay. Please. I won't leave baby. I'm just going to get something okay? No. Atsumu whined. Stay. I will. Just let me go get something okay? I'll cuddle with you later, just I'll go get something. Promise? Promise. Sakusa said with a smile, even though Atsumu can't see it since his eyes were closed. Atsumu finally let go of his sleeve and Sakusa kissed his forehead. I'll be quick love. Sakusa went to get warm water and put it in a basin, then went to search for a clean sponge. He went back to a sleeping Atsumu. When he sat on the bed, Atsumu woke up. Omi, you're back. I'm here Achoo. Cuddle. Later baby. I just need to do something first. He gently removed Atsumu's sweater and Atsumu only shivered in reaction. I'm gonna give you a sponge bath okay baby? We need to cool your body down. Come on baby. Sit up for a bit. Sakusa gently carried Atsumu's body into a seating position and leaned his back to his front. He grabbed the sponge, then squeezed it with difficulty, then wiped it first on Atsumu's chest. Atsumu whimpered. Cold. I know baby. I know. Sakusa continued to wipe down Atsumu's body as Atsumu made small sounds of protest. It's done baby. It's finished now. Sakusa laid Atsumu on the bed gently as he went to get a lighter shirt as well as a thinner blanket. Not the comforter Atsumu has. He put the shirt on Atsumu, then put a wet towel on Atsumu's forehead. He was about to leave when Atsumu weakly grasped his wrist. Cuddle. Yes Achoo, but I still have one more thing to do. Just a bit more time baby please. Atsumu whined. No. Tears fell slowly from his eyes. You promised. Omi please. Sakusa laid beside Atsumu and Atsumu used his chest as a pillow. Sakusa's arm under Atsumu circled him and held his waist as he pressed his lips on Atsumu's forehead. He waited for a few minutes after Atsumu fell back asleep before removing himself from the bed gently as to not wake Atsumu and went to the kitchen. He was cooking chicken soup when Osamu arrived. What the fuck are you doing here, Osamu? Sakusa greeted. I asked you a question. What the fuck are you doing in my house and in my kitchen? Sakusa didn't look at Osamu as he replied, giving the food he's cooking all his attention. I'm making chicken soup for Achu. He has a fever. Everything was silent as Sakusa finished cooking and Osamu watched him with face scrunched up in confusion and surprise. Sakusa put the soup in a bowl, then he went to get a big glass for water, then put both on a tray. There's still some left if you want some. Sakusa carried the tray to Atsumu's room and Osamu followed, still watching. He leaned on the doorway as he watched Sakusa put the tray on the desk, then kneeled down beside Atsumu's bed as he woke Atsumu up gently. Hey Achu, wake up love. Omi, hey. Sakusa smiled. How you feeling baby? Tired? I brought food. Not hungry. You need to eat baby, even just a little bit so you could taken your medicine. No Omi, medicine tastes bad. I know baby, but you don't have to chew. And you need it so you won't feel bad anymore. So will you eat baby? Please. Sakusa said, massaging Atsumu's scalp. Okay Omi. Osamu watched as Sakusa fed Atsumu. Just a little bit more baby please. No. No more Omi please. Just a bit more okay. You've only had 3 spoonfuls. How about you have 10? Just 7 more baby. What doubts Osamu had about Sakusa's feelings for his brother evaporated as he watched the scene in front of him. Sakusa loves Atsumu. That is blatantly obvious now. Atsumu becomes really clingy and really needy when he's sick, and combine that with Sakusa's phobia. This scene shouldn't even exist. And yet, Osamu can't see a trace of disgust or even hesitance in Sakusa's movements. In fact, the only thing he can see in Sakusa's face is absolute fondness, and he feels like he's intruding on a special moment. Osamu turned back and was about to leave when he heard Atsumu spoke. Love you Omi. Please love me too. Osamu's eyes snapped back to the couple when he heard Atsumu spoke in such a weak, vulnerable voice. He saw how Sakusa buried his face in Atsumu's hair and gripped him tightly. Alarm bells started ringing in his head. Is it love or dependency and desperation? Osamu watched Sakusa as he put his shoes on. He glanced at the paper on top of the table before going back to studying Sakusa, trying to decide what to do. Just as Sakusa was about to open the door, Osamu spoke. Sakusa. Osamu saw the way Sakusa stiffened before turning around to face him. Yes Osamu. Osamu stood up and walked towards Sakusa, taking the paper with him. With a bit of hesitance, he handed Sakusa the paper. Sakusa took the paper in confusion. He recognizes what was written in the paper, but at the same time, he doesn't know what it is. Before he could ask, Osamu spoke. That's my phone number. Next time something like this happens, call me. Sakusa held the paper tightly. Normally, he wouldn't argue. This is just a concerned brother after all, but he knows what this is. I'm not staying away from Achu. Osamu. I know you don't like me for him, but I love him and I won't let him go. Osamu watched Sakusa blankly. He feels guilty doing this, but it's for the best. Both Atsumu and Sakusa are broken people, and he doesn't think putting them together in hopes that they will fix each other is good, because his questions are still left unanswered. Do you really love Atsumu, or are you just desperate for affection and knows Atsumu will give it to you freely? What happens when you both heal? Will you still love Atsumu or leave him? My brother is not a rehabilitation center you can use when you're broken then leave behind when you're okay. Do you really love him, or are you just confused? As he watches the tinge of desperation in Sakusa's eyes, Osamu made up his mind. If you really love him Sakusa, you will let him go. Atsumu needs someone who can love him properly. You've already proven that's not you. If Sakusa really loves his brother, then they will find their way back to each other in the end. If they meet and fall in love again in the future, then Osamu won't interfere. But for now, they need to heal. And they need to do it away from each other. If they are meant to be, then they are meant to be. No, I made a mistake once and I won't do it again. I want Atsumu to be happy and I can give him that. I will give him that. I won't leave Atsumu. There's nothing you can do that will make me leave. Sakusa turned around and walked out the door, slamming it close. Osamu wanted to rip his hair off. He didn't know whether to be happy that Sakusa's fighting for Atsumu or be irritated. He just sighed in frustration and went to check on Atsumu. If after that, Osamu stopped interfering, well, no one had the guts to ask why. In case it wasn't clear, Osamu thinks that Sakusa's love for Atsumu is just his desperation to have a connection with another being. That Sakusa knew Atsumu would give him all the love and affection he wants. Although Sakusa is desperate, it's more because he realized his mistakes and doesn't want to lose the love of his life. Osamu thinks that they both should heal independently, away from each other to make sure that they are in this case. Sakusa's not only trying to use Atsumu to fill a void in his life then leave when he's had enough. Although this might irritate you since you want Sakuatsu to get back together again, Osamu's just a brother concerned over his twin's wellness. And you can't really blame him since even if Sakusa's doing his best now, he was still the one who caused most of Atsumu's obvious issues. And you can't heal in the same toxic environment that broke you.
Spoiler for part 10, brace yourselves. Hope you enjoyed.